Hello again. Day 5. Today we are going to have a look at the rudder and the tail wheel. I think this is going to take up most of the time as well. So my thinking around this is we can't do this. This is not going to happen. I mean, we could stick it on a piece of wire out the back, but I would have concerns about the sort of structural integrity where we're going to join it. Although actually, as we go along, we'll see. But essentially, if we have a very quick look at here, this is what the original or the real full-size one looks like. Obviously, we're not going to do this kind of bell crank system. But my thinking is that we bring the wheel a little bit closer, but we basically include it on the rudder. So when the rudder moves, the wheel moves, but it's actually a part of the rudder. So we'll make the rudder come right down to this bit, and then how we attach the wheel on the end of that, we can work out. We want some form of suspension for it. There we go. So how I'm going to do this then, I think we're going to end up using the sweep function. So first thing I'm going to do is make a sketch. And this should be exactly down the middle of the aircraft. So it looks good. Our rudder's going to be a little bit bigger than the one here, as I think that would be absolutely tiny. But what I'm going to draw is a construction line. So I hit X, and I'm going to go like that. I reckon that's probably the size of the rudder. And I've gone long because we're going to use this to make our sweeps. Okay, cool. Right, somewhere up here then, we're going to have a break where the rudder is. And then what we're going to need is somewhere here, we're going to need a protrusion that attaches to the fin that the hinge can go through and that the rudder can sit into at the bottom as well. Because I want the bottom of the rudder to move, because that is where the wheel is going to be connected. Okay, so we're going to need to build some construction planes. I want one up here, and then down here they're going to be at different angles. So let's start with the top one to begin with. So I'll finish the sketch for now. And oh man, something's bothering my computer today. There we go. Does that look about right? Does that look? Yeah, it looks good. So I'm now going to do a sketch on this plane. Sometimes it helps to just get a view out the side. And I'm just going to mark where this line intersects to our sketch here. That gives me a little dot. And then on that dot, much like we did with the I'm going to -1 I'll probably do for this bit actually. So this is really just like we did with the aileron and the elevator. Okay. And then what I want to do is I'm going to come down and I'm going to make a similar shape a bit further down. So construct plane off of here. So let's just see the measurements. So that is 128. So I reckon I want at least a couple of centimeters down there. And then, so call that 110. And then I want at least a centimetre and a half there. Okay, so that'll do. And sketch on there. I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to mark where it intersects the sketch. And just trying to think if we can copy this. Let's try it. Don't want a projection link this time. Okay. We've projected that down to here. And then let's move this scale. Move the sketch. Actual fact, when we do this move, we can do a point to point. So we pick the point, pick target point, that one there. Okay. So what we kind of want to check here is that all of the rudder is still inside. If it's outside of this mark here, then it won't cut far enough. Okay, that looks good. So that's the top cut of the rudder. And then I'm going to finish that sketch. Construct off of here. That looks good. Let's see if we can do the same again. Create project. No link. Okay. And we'll do the same again. Move. I've probably made my life a little bit hard by the fact that oh dear, didn't want to do that yet. I've probably made my life a little bit hard by the fact that this line doesn't go through the middle, through the origin. Yeah. Just need to bear that in mind when we're referencing the center of the circle. Man, I haven't done the intersect. Cancel. Great. Intersects. There we go. And then we can go to move. Point to point. Bring that in so you can see what we're doing. Origin point and, oh man, target point. There we go. Again, I think the whole thing is inside. Okay, then we're going to need to do one more. And this one's just going to be outside the model. Okay, and intersects. The other thing I should have done was add the hinge line already onto this model. Okay, point to point move. That point to that point. All right. What I might be able to do is sometimes when you go to move and copy, if you select a point and then you can click create copy. It works with bodies, and then you'll just move a new copy. I'm not sure it works with sketches. Right, so we need to think about this now. We are going to have one part of the rudder here, another part of the rudder here, and a bit of the body, and then another part of the rudder here. Right, so the way we're going to do the cuts takes a few moments of thought. So I think the first cut we can do, actually I'm going to work from the top down on this one. So I know up here that I want the rudder to come inside to turn. So I'm going to finish my sketches. And I'm going to start doing some lofts. Okay, first loft is going to be cut like this. Great. Just going to bring those two sketches back up. So I'm going to need them again. And now we need to cut off the top. So now I'm going to do an extrude. And I think I can come down, so I think I can do -1, and that should cut everything. All right, now we're going to come down. Now on this model, I want to have a bit of the rudder sticking out here. So this time I'm going to do a loft from here to here. Cut. Okay. And now, I'm just going to bring up that sketch before I forget. And now I need to cut out a bit here because this part is going to be connected to the rudder. This is what our hinge is going to run through. So now I'm going to do an extrude cut. And I'm going to go 2 sides. I want to go 0.5 both sides. Tool body creation failed. Why? There we go. Okay, now the only annoying thing about this is it's gonna do some, it's gonna cut into the edge a little bit. So I'm gonna change the taper angle to 5 degrees. No, it needs to be minus 5 degrees, minus 10 degrees, 12. Oh. Okay, let's try and change this one. $16 looks good. Okay. Cut. And then down here, we want rudder to go up to here, because I want the rudder to be attached this way. And so we could just go straight down, but I think it might look better if we keep the sort of angle that we've got going on. So loft cut from here to here. And then we're going to do the similar sort of extrude that we just did. Oh. Two sides. Five, 16, 5, minus 16. Okay, so now we can run a piece of wire from the rudder up through here, and the rudder can then be controlled and turn. But equally, it's not going anywhere, right? Whereas if we'd only had it connected at the top, obviously it wouldn't connect at the bottom. But what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to have this part not articulating, because it's going to make it harder to attach the nose wheel to something, and I don't want to have separate, sorry, not nose wheel, tail wheel. All right. It's going to come up, edit the sketch from the center. .5. I think that's sort of been working for me lately. So when you're doing these cutouts for things like piano wire, one of the real tricky things is that, where are my sketch? Oh, I'm editing the sketches rather not there. One of the real tricky things is that when you heat up PLA, it obviously expands, and your gap, so to get that kind of dimensional accuracy can be tricky. Now I find with the print settings I use and the printer I use that 2.5 mil will give me maybe 1.5 mil gap, and so I can fit the pieces through. But look, you might be different, okay? That might not be what fits your printer. But if I make it too small, it's definitely not going to fit. So that's why I make them a little bit bigger. So that when you print it, the likelihood is you're going to get something that you can fit some piano wire through. If it is too small, then in certain places you can always use a drill. I appreciate drilling all the way up this piece though. You'd need to have a pretty long drill, which can be a bit of a pain. It would have been easier to do this at the very beginning, I know, because then we would have copied it each time. Nevertheless, here we are. Right. And when we print this, we're probably not going to be able to print this in one piece. I suspect we'll have a cut here. So you'll print this part, and then you'll print this part, and then we'll glue them together here, and then we'll insert the wire up here, and then we'll glue it in at some point there. So for the tail wheel, we need to come up with a plan. Now, as I said, I wasn't particularly keen on having a piece of wire sticking out here. It might be quite good, but I think that you'll have trouble keeping the wheel straight and steering it. I think that it'll flex around a little bit. You could maybe use a real thick piece, like a 2mm or 2.5mm piece of piano wire. But I think actually we might be better off moving away from the scale sort of model version and building some kind of plastic, PLA part attached to this bottom bit of the rudder that the wheel goes onto. And we could probably even add some kind of spring as well, using a small rubber band so that we can get some suspension on the wheel. So I'm going to push pause for a second and I'm going to have a little think. So still carrying on with this gear, I'm going to kind of move on to my second attempt in a minute. Attempt number 1 just looks a bit clunky, to be perfectly honest with you. So I'm just trying to smooth it out. Make something that's a little bit sleeker and not quite so jarring to the design, because the aircraft's obviously a sleek design, so we then have this massive ugly undercarriage. That's not going to look good. So I'm trying to build the hook here that our rubber band is going to go around. Originally built the hook a moment ago. I did say that I wouldn't edit these videos too much, but on this occasion I'm not really having a great deal of choice. It was going to be an enormously long video due to how much thinking time and trial and error I'm doing, and really what I want to show people is how you can get the shapes that you want, rather than how you can sit and think for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. So my thinking on this bit is really just to get the required shape. So constraints, if you want to make sure 2 lines are together, you use the constraint button. And you tap the dot and the line, and it will basically join them up. A white dot is a line that's not joined up. Okay. Cool. And I'm going to delete these. So this may have entirely moved a... oh no, there we go, cool. Joined up our hook. We're still going to need to think how we're going to print this, but I think we can come to that later. Okay, and I'm going to carry on, I'm actually going to make it a new sketch. This is on the mirror line though. Okay, so what I kind of thought after my last attempt was that we'll keep it single thickness here, and then we'll go to double thickness, obviously to fit the wheel in the middle. But when the wheel is at its minimum extension, I don't want it to flop around. So I thought if we have it touching this point, it'll also look a bit sleeker. And then as the wheel moves up, the bands can open, and then we'll get a gap. So kind of the unloaded position, if you like, it should be touching. So I'm going to intersect this guy. There we go. So I want to have my second sort of part of the hook here, if you like, and And then if we come down to the wheel, yeah, intersect. There we go. My main concern with these parts is obviously that they're going to be strong enough. So we might do a little bit of printing using a different material like PETG or ABS. Right, we're going to kind of actually, I've got an idea. That won't work. Maybe if we project that line in. Okay. Can you make a line, a tangent? There we go. That's good. So I'm not making these constructions lines because I think some of them I'm going to use. So that's 22. So having a rethink on how we're going to do this. So I've put a planar angle on this line here, which is my construction hinge line, and I'm going to do a sketch. And intersect. I'd quite like to select that whole piece if I could, but it's not having it. So do that, then come around the other side and do the same. Okay. Selectable, which is good, that's what I wanted. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is I wanted to see if we could make, no, that's pretty grim, isn't it? Okay, let's try it this way. Sweep on that line. Okay, and new body. And don't need the bit on the front because that's there. Okay, now with the added thickness that gives us, it might be easier to have a hinge in the middle. Let's just see how thick this is. $8mm. Yeah, that might work. That was my old one, which I didn't like. The hook's still there. Okay, let's go back and actually I'll just make a sketch on there. So I don't want a projection link on this one. Okay, tangent, that one and that one. Cool. So I'm going to try and put the hinge inside this bit, and then as it comes out here, it'll then form a U-piece that will then go around the wheel. And this might look a little bit sleeker than what we've previously been looking at. Excuse me. So that's going to be our hook piece. On that bit, I want that bit and that bit. So my objective at the moment is to kind of get to here, right? So here's what I'm going to do now. Okay, let's have a fiddle. So first thing I'm going to do is finish the sketch. Right, that needs to be something selectable. So go back in. we go. And I'm going to extrude. Don't really need to worry about what goes on down here because at the moment we're just extruding for a cut. I want to include the inner circle. There we go. And let's have a look. Go symmetric. So if we went 3, we've only got 4 and a bit to play with. 2.5, both sides. Okay. And then we need to bring the sketch back up. And now we'll go symmetric again. And we'll go 2. New body. Okay, at the moment obviously it's not going to move. Just got this bit here. So I'm going to go back into the sketch and just make a new bit. There we go, no sketch. And symmetric 2.5. How's this looking? Okay, this is looking a little bit sleeker, a bit less, well, just a bit less ugly. I'm just going to differentiate the parts, so that's going to be like that, and that's going to be like that. Yeah. Okay, bring the sketches back and that one. Need that one back. Need that one back. And for this one we can just do all symmetric. Right, and now we can concentrate on how we go round the wheel here on either side. So how are we going to do that? Okay, got an idea. I'm going to draw a construction line that goes from here to here. Then I'm going to make a planar angle that. Now I'm going to do a sketch and I need 2 curves. So the first curve like that. And the second curve is just going to be a mirror. Okay. And let's do a mirror. Alright, I have no idea if this is going to work, but it's worth a shot. Sweep, that's the profile, that's the path. Yeah, we want perpendicular because we don't really want to try reducing taper. Removing regions of high curvature. Well, I can't really remove regions of high curvature because it needs to be curved. What does it look like from around here? Okay, I think I can. I think we can work with that. I'm going to make it a new body. You'll see why in a bit. And I want to bring the sketch back up. And I want to edit the sketch. Good, 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 good. Okay, we're going to make a mirror. That one. Often it's just best to do that and use the origin. Okay, so I think what we're then going to do is we'll just join across here, and that'll make the neck a bit stronger, like that. So sketch on the top. Often with these things, actually, you just want to go more than you want. Oh, actually, hold on. That's too close. Okay, and then we can just extrude this bit. We'll do one side, distance to object, that object, and in fact, I can join. Okay, great. All right, so I think that looks pretty good. I don't think it's a really ugly addition to the aeroplane. But let's get rid of all our sketches now and have a look at it. We're also going to modify the appearance That bit and that bit are going to be the same. There we go. I think we're there. There you go. I think that's fairly neat and tidy. Get rid of that. And I'm just sort of changing the scene each time, actually. Yeah, maybe a bit pink. Cool. And we'll get an image from there showing all the great work we've done.